Hello, friends. Good evening. I wanted to jump on. Oh my gosh, I sound like I sound like every sort of content creator. I just wanted to come and talk to you. But honestly, there is something that has really been burdening my heart that I wanted to share with all of you. And I wanted to share and show you that even if you're 10, 15 years in business, you still can be with issues, your own issues that are getting in your way. Now, before you click off thinking this is going to be like a woo-woo mindset, which I think is great, mindset work is extremely important. Understand that I want to bring and talk to you about some of the things that you might be doing in your business that are causing you from getting to where you want to go. One of the most notable examples, and this is really what spurred on this entire conversation, is when it comes to pricing of our offerings. So many of us are in this, let me see what everyone else is doing, or you're falling victim to your own mental pricing blocks because guess what? You're not the avatar that you're selling to. So you end up pricing in a way that's not effective. So let's dig into this. I just wanted to walk you guys through a couple of steps how even I, this many years into business, I run into this. My name is Rachel Brinke. I am a business strategist and intellectual property attorney. I think the most important thing to note is that I'm not successful because I'm an attorney. I'm successful because I am a good business owner most days, good strategic business owner most days, right? We all have our failings, but here, I'm going to share with you what I've been running through on multiple of my businesses this week. We are coming up the end of Q1 when I'm recording this, right? We have 2 days left. So what I like to do is come back to the teams, reevaluate our offerings, reevaluate how we're presenting them to our avatar, to the people that we are trying to serve. And I found myself in this loop of making excuses and trying to carry the baggage of these pricing or mental blocks that our potential consumers have with us. Now, if you have listened to my podcast or anything like that, back in January, I did an entire series on client avatar and unique serving position, how to boil that into a content calendar. But one of the missing pieces that I'm going to bring to the podcast soon is going to be this. How do we overcome and not make decisions based on our own internal perspectives? Because guess what? All of us may not necessarily be the avatar that we're trying to reach. Let me give you an example. With myself, I have the law firm, I have a couple online businesses, I have legal brands that have contracts and education for all different types of entrepreneurs. Just Google me. I'm the only Rachel Brinke, and you'll find all of these different resources. But here is the thing. It is so easy for me, even though I feel like I have my head around this business thing. I'm hustling, not in a way that makes it overcommitted or exhausting in my business, but I'm hustling in strategy. But I still find myself, when it comes to pricing and offerings, going, well, I wouldn't want to pay that. Or wait, I don't think they can pay that. Or, how do I demonstrate the value? And actually, it was my paralegal that brought to my attention, she goes, why are you worried about the pricing of this? That is your value. So why are you trying to lower it? And I was like, well, I'm afraid they can't pay for it. And it's all about value. Yes, we have to have the messaging there, but we have to take a step back for that and go, okay, but first we cannot self-qualify it. Because what happens in these situations is I'm an attorney, and this was a very specific example to the law firm, but this can apply to any sort of entrepreneur. When we were creating our offerings at the end of Q1, we were fine-tuning to see what we can do to better serve our clients so that it can be flat rate, so that entrepreneurs like you can manage the budget, not worry about an endless billable bill coming later. And I was pushing back, even though we were adding more things that we know that entrepreneurs need to have, which, by the way, they come to me because I'm the expert in this field. But I was pushing back saying, I can't charge that because they can't afford it. And my paralegal says to me, and this was very specifically for photographers, she goes, if they're a wedding photographer, they make that in one wedding. One wedding. One wedding. When we have 12 months, 365 days a year that they're having revenue come in. And that just blew my mind. And this is one of the things, side note, Always hire team members that have a strategic perspective as you. And if you are the CEO, which you should be of your business, always invite them in to provide their input, because what was happening in this conversation was that I was putting myself not into their shoes, I was putting myself into my own shoes as though I was going to hire myself. And what did that mean? I know how to do this work like this, right? They don't know. Y'all don't know how to do that work, okay? So let's equate this in. Maybe you're a photographer, or you're a content creator, or you're a graphic designer. Do not fall victim to the idea of, oh, it'll only take me a couple minutes to do X, Y, and Z. It's not the couple minutes that you're charging for. It is the work, the talent, the experience, the messaging, and the value that you're bringing to the avatar with your unique serving position. So, what is my encouragement here? When you sit down to create your offerings, when you sit down to write your messaging, whether it is Instagram post, YouTube video, your podcast, any of that, whatever it is that you're sitting down to create, make sure that you are talking to the avatar that is not you. It's funny because I've even said in other podcast videos and episodes saying, well, I am my own avatar. And on paper, I am. Well, I don't want to reveal my age, although you can try to figure it out. But career women with school-age children who are trying to run successful, flexible businesses that emphasize quality of life over business. I love business. It brings revenue, it brings income, which brings freedom, which brings impact, and all of that stuff. And I don't shy away from that. But here at my different businesses, in our core values is flexibility and quality of life. But what I have to understand is I have to remove the skill set that I have out of the perspective. This is why it's so important to either have a business mentor, business strategist that can give you an objective view, or even a team member. Sometimes team members can always just feed you what you want to hear. So in that vein, you have to hire right and cultivate a situation and cultivate an environment where they feel comfortable to be able to push back. Just like what happened with my paralegal. I would have sat and stuffed all this extra stuff into a package that my clients need, because I am the expert telling them exactly what they need. But what exactly would that have done? It would have essentially given the farm away. And so what is the fix? What is the fix there? I can increase the revenue for me, increase the value for the avatar, for the client, the consumer that I'm trying to serve, as long as I remove my mindset and my perspective of the skills, right? So anytime we know that we have a skill, and when we look at something, we're going to value it a lot lower because you think, oh, I can do that myself. Take, for example, if you are somebody, I can't cook to save my life. I couldn't cook my way out of a paper bag if I had to. But I try. I do a lot of crock pot and stuff. I do a lot of DoorDash. But I put great value in that. So if and when, and this is one of my goals for 2021, I would love to get to this point of having someone to craft meals for me in my home, I am willing to spend more than somebody who has the time, money, energy, and know-how to sit and create a meal plan and also execute the grocery shopping and also execute the actual production of creating the meals. You can apply this to sewing. Graphic design is a perfect example. Many of us who are not adept at Photoshop or any of those systems, Illustrator, will go out and spend more or spend a value on a graphic designer to create a logo for us because we are essentially paying for the expertise of something that we cannot do. So how does this tie into us when we're doing our pricing and offerings? Well, you need to make sure that you take off the glasses of you as the avatar, even if the demographics overlap. Even if that was you 5-10 years ago. And that is a pretty good starting point. Go listen to the other podcast episode on Apple Podcasts that talks about that. Oftentimes we end up meeting the needs of the people that are where we were 5-10 years ago. But even then, in a very specialized situation or a career, like choose anything. Choose whatever you're doing. I was going to say lawyer, but you don't have to be licensed, professional licensed in order to fall into this. anytime that you provide an offering that someone else either cannot do, doesn't want to do, or places of value to outsource, you got to remove the lens of that, because it's going to directly impact your revenue. It's going to directly impact also you, because what happens in these situations, you'll end up realizing, let me take this law firm example, and I'm just showing you, I am transparent with my clients. We do flat rates with everything. I tell them exactly what is in it. I also tell them what else they need. Our initial meeting has the entire plan of what they need. I don't sell them on things that they don't need, but that mirrors the ascension model that everybody should have in their business. You should always have something more to be able to sell to your consumer. And when I say sell, I mean serve. We don't want to sell something that is not going to meet and serve the needs of them, or meet the needs for you, which would be like your purpose to put out into the world, right? So that's what many of us are in business for. Money's great, but we also need to have the intrinsic purpose. So where this all started tonight was not only just the conversation that I had with my paralegal, but it was also a conversation that I was watching, and I've been seeing it. I troll the Facebook groups. All the business coaches in the world are probably going to say it's like the worst use of my time to do this, but I absolutely love to dig in to the different niche and industry-specific Facebook groups to see what the top conversations are. And what I'm seeing is, and I did a whole January series on this on the Business Bites podcast. That's on all the podcast platforms and on YouTube. What the biggest thing that I'm seeing is that many entrepreneurs are not clear on the avatar. They're not clear, which is who you're serving. They're not clear on the unique serving position, but then they're also missing this piece. They may have nailed the first two. They've checked the box, but when it's time to craft your offerings and craft the pricing that goes with it, all of a sudden we're putting on this lens and devaluing ourselves. Absolutely devaluing what you're doing. If you've nailed USP and client avatar, any pricing structure, as long as it's within the confines and that lens of the USP and avatar, the pricing and offering that you demand and pair it with pricing will be received. It will land properly, and it will sell, and it will serve the avatar, and it will serve you and your business, because you don't want to give everything away for low value. I'm not saying you have to slap on like thousands of dollars on here, but you definitely, but if it demands it, if the value is there, you do it. But we have to really make sure that we're getting out of this space of making a decision of what we would necessarily do. Let's translate this even outside of pricing and our offerings. Let's look at just the general setup of our websites. We try to sit there and make decisions about design, about user functionality, and everything that goes along with that, maybe even your social media campaigns. We may sit there and make a decision to go, well, I wouldn't want to see that, or I would want to see that. You, no matter if the demographics overlap, you today are not the person that you're serving. You wouldn't be the go-to authority and go-to person and the professional that is the advisor providing this if you were talking to yourself. Okay? So what are we going to do with this? We need to, one, take off the lenses as much as we can. Two, we need to source and talk and look at the avatars that we already have in existence. We also need to make sure that we are going to have a third party that's completely objective to us. Not your mama, not your best friend. It needs to be a third party that can sit there and read the label from outside the bottle, because right now we're sitting in the water bottle. We need someone that can read the label from the outside in order to really tell us what is working and what's not working. And we can do that specifically with our price offerings. We can do that with our social media. We can do that with our ads and all of that. And I'll tell you what, this is a pushing and growing lesson that I am realizing. You know, you can sit here and say, well, you know what's best. You know your audience best, and put it forward. And I just said that today on a phone call with somebody. I do know enough, but I also know enough to be humble in that I need an adjust in perspective. I need to adjust to get into a position where I am not one that is going to be serving to them just what I want to serve to them. You know, even being in a position of being a lawyer, you all are not going to necessarily want what I have to offer. And I have operated for so long and obviously done decently well, but I feel like there's a lot of friction in trying to offer and serve in a way that's only where I want to do it. You have to meet the avatar halfway. So we got to take off the lens. We got to get that third party objective. We really have to look from this perspective on everything that we're doing. I feel like it was like a hashtag Rachel's Rants tonight. I just was thinking about how this permeates almost all of our decisions, whether it's your pricing, whether it's your offering, whether it's to take an opportunity, whether it's to what you're going to post on social or not. Guess what? It's not about you. You, no matter how much you look and act like the person that you're trying to serve, you're not the person that you're trying to serve anymore. So maybe what you need to do is think back to the person that you were 5 to 10 years ago. If that is the avatar that you're trying to reach, talk to that person. Make sure you remove the lens of now and talk to them. So anyways, that's it for tonight. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and I look forward to next time.